So, here we go, Starbow, the ESL Play Tournament. Spawning up in the top left-hand position of Fighting Spirit as the orange Zerg player. It is RenZan. His opponent, to the top right, the yellow Protoss. Kierowca. Kierowca is how I'm going to say his name. Kierowca, I think. I butcher names until I learn how to say them. I'm really bad. Anyway, so many cool things are going to be coming down. And, well, for the moment, looks like Kierowca looking to go for either a cannon rush, as we saw Jacko do up against RenZan, which didn't unfortunately work, or maybe we'll see something a bit more awesome come down in just a quick expansion. RenZan will likely take a fast expansion himself. They are in the closer positions. No watchtowers, of course, on any Starbow map, which means any scouting has to be done manually, apart from if you're towed, and then you can use a sweeper scan. Other cool changes in Starbow. I've mentioned this multiple times, but a lot of people don't know the game, so won't know this. You return 8 resources per trip with a worker. For Zerg, their queens don't inject to cause more lava to come out every 40 seconds. Instead, it increases the lava production rate by a percentage. Queens can't attack without using a spell. Inject can basically just be increased, so that's mainly the big thing coming out there. We do see that Kierowca is busy getting down a forge, so could be cannon rushing. Yep, there comes the probe. Other big thing about Starbow is that there is a high ground advantage. If you're attacking units up above you, then you have a 50% miss chance, which is pretty huge. Makes all the difference in engagements. Anyway, for the moment, we are just seeing the probe sitting here. May not actually be a cannon rush now. Cannon coming down back at home. This this drone, doing an amazing job currently of blocking out the Nexus, so it's all looking good. We take a quick look over. Nothing really going on in the main. No gateway, which delays tech. Gateways, of course, can't become warp gates until Templar archives are built, and even then, most players opting not to get warp gate tech, as it's got a lot of drawbacks compared to in standard StarCraft 2. Now, RenZan just doing a fairly normal job for the moment of getting as many drones and as many bases as he can. His spawning pool is done, but for the moment hasn't opted for any Zerglings. Another thing to know on the Zerg side is you require a hatchery can only have 3 lava banked up at any time, so you can't just bank lava and then quickly remax. We've also got third base getting taken right next to Kierowca's base, which is a very risky move. Could play out badly. We've got to see how it works. Of course, Hydralisks are now on hatchery tech. They deal very well against Dragoons, which a lot of Protoss players are finding in Starbow work incredibly well. They deal less well against Zealots though, and that's because Hydralisks deal explosive damage, and that simply means they deal 100% of the damage to armored, but reduced to medium armor, and also very much reduced to light armor. So, the other thing to note about Hydras being on hatchery tech is they're incredibly slow, both on and off creep, until they get muscular augments, so need to get that down to give them some speed. Other cool things we may be seeing from the Protoss player is some Reaver play. Reavers are very effective if you get them down. They deal huge damage with a bit of splash, so it can be incredibly potent against a lot of weaker units, or Reaver drops are very popular. Just drop a Reaver in a War Prism, come over here, boom, bye-bye mineral line. So, here we go, we can see the new inject mechanic working. Makes hatcheries look like volcanoes, which is awesome. Basically increases lava production rate by 65%. Queens you can only get 1 queen per hatchery you have. You can't build more than that, which is a little bit frustrating. You can't preempt an additional hatchery coming out by making another queen either. Queens also have Nurturing Swarm, which heals. It's kind of like Transfuse, except it can also work on buildings in construction. And if you cast on a building in construction, it builds twice as fast for 20 seconds, which is ridiculously cool. Other things that are going on is, well, not too much, to be honest. Hydrogen is coming down. 2 Hydrogens are coming down. Now, this may seem crazy, right? This may seem like, what the hell is happening here? But RenZan has a plan. What RenZan will be doing is getting down muscular augments and the range upgrades simultaneously. I think it's still called Groove Spines, but I don't want to say that, even though I now have, because I could be wrong. Anyway, these injects still coming down nicely. Notice you can stack injects, so you can actually start casting the next one before it's finished, but unfortunately RenZan not going to demonstrate that point for me at the moment. The Citadel upgrade is coming down. Kydrian's Citadel basically just gives Nexus the ability to chrono boost and also recall units to them. I believe it's up to 4, although it could be 5. Remember, this game is not one... It's a custom map, and so much has changed that it is pretty much like casting a new game. And yep, just as expected, Groove Spines and Muscular Augments coming down. Lots of Hydralisks are going to get produced, and literally like RenZan wants to be a bit more aggressive. That could pose problems, especially if there's a lot of Dragoon requirements. But it seems Dark Templar are going to be coming down. Bold move here. There's the Templar Archives. As we can see, you can get Kaidrian's Amulet, which increases High Templar's energy generation rate by 25%, but not their starting energy. Warp Gate tech. We can show what Warp Gates do. So Warp Gates to a Warp Gate, allowing it to warp and ground units to any location, providing this power Warp Prism. It does work differently, I'm sure, in this. Charge also coming down. That's going to help the Zealots close up the distance. But DTs making their way across the map. They see the Hydralisks. That's going to make defense a lot harder. And then straight away we come back. Overseers morphing. Now, Overseers are on hatchery tech now, so that makes it a bit easier to defend this sort of thing. But the DTs already trying to rack up a couple of kills, heading up into the main and also towards the third now, which is frustrating. Evolution Chambers coming down for the moment. 2 workers have been killed. Of course, DT's still one-shot. They deal 40 damage per hit. Exactly enough to one-shot workers. Very important. And, well, this is quite nice. Hydras are there. The Overseer making its way across. Note that Overseer is very slow without numerized carapace. So that is really why they're on hatch tech. That's the problem you get from having them. Good damage being done here at the moment. We do have a Spine Caller attempting to come down, and with the Overseer in range, that Spine should start working away. Note though, Spine's nowhere near as effective as they are against ETs in StarCraft 2, especially when we see things getting through. So, third base, currently taking a lot of damage. RenZan suffering to the might of the Dark Templar. Overseer is still there. Brood War sound effect for Hydralisks to make it sound like lasers are shooting and everything, which is awesome. Another Spore Caller coming down now, grant detection, but unfortunately the hatchery already dead and gone. Spore Caller could also get focused. These Overseers just take so long to get around. That's why numerized carapace is getting researched. The Dark Templar, though, made a good play. That was really strong, and as a result, I'd say Kierowca is now ahead. He's got his own third coming down. Kierowca also going in with some Zealot play here. Charge is done for these Zealots, which allows them to close up the distance to the Hydras. Remember I was saying about the Hydra damage type as explosive? That means they deal 100 damage, or 100% damage versus armored, 75 versus medium, and only 50% versus light. So against Zealots, they only do 5 damage per hit, but against Dragoons, they deal 10. Very powerful. So, we do see that there are a couple of Archons in the mix now. Archons still deal good damage, still completely reliant on shields, but they are armored as a class, so that means that Hydralisks tear through them. It's also worth noting that Archons, I'm not quite sure what their damage type is. I'm guessing it's just standard, so they just deal 33 damage per hit. Low range still though. Dragoons completely annihilated by Hydralisks, as we saw there. And the Hydralisks are pushing through the wall. +1 has been completed, even though it takes 240 seconds in game. Overseers there just in case any DTs were warped in. Storm is not researched. Storm very good against Hydras, but these Hydras pushing through, and it seems RenZan really knows what he's doing in Starbow, as he's dealing an incredible amount of DPS. So, the Chrono Totem, which I like someone suggesting the name for it, sitting there on top of the Nexus, but unfortunately it's not going to help. No Photon Overcharge. Zealots now closing up distance to these Hydras. As I mentioned previously, Zealots very good against Hydralisks, but still there's no such thing as a hard counter, just things that are quite effective. So these Zealots tanking up a lot of damage, but still got to be careful. So many workers are going down now. Worker kill count 22-24, actually leveling it out from the DT damage done. RenZan hasn't won this game as of yet, but well, Dragoons getting taken out. Still lots of Overseers. This DT not going to help too much. If the Nexus falls, it is going to be very problematic. Luckily, Kierowca does have a third base in position. Those DTs just sneaking their way through, not able to achieve too much. Roaches are in production, as well as Tunnel. Tunnel basically temporarily for 5 seconds burrows your Roach and stims you over there. Kierowca apparently forgot Storm, which would make sense. Makes you very vulnerable to Hydralisks. And the natural base is going to fall. For the moment, no vision has been seen from RenZan of that third base, so he hasn't actually gone to check it as of yet. Roaches coming through though, they're going to be really effective up against these Zealots. Going to see help against them. Also, when you use Tunnel with the Roaches, they get a speed boost, but also they take reduced damage for the entire duration of it. So that means that they are very effective to close up the distance quite quickly. No Storm is sitting there, no upgrades for the time being, no natural base remade as of yet. Should be seeing a push forward from RenZan once again. The damage isn't fantastic, but it's certainly already made its mark. It's a bold move, still pushing in, there could be more up. Storm could have been researched in the time since the last push, but the roaches are really what make RenZan feel more confident here. So he's got tunnel available in the next couple of seconds, not currently having to use it. Get some roaches up onto the high ground, incredibly important due to the high ground advantage. Units attacking up onto high ground have a 50% chance to miss completely. That makes it very difficult to trade effectively. More Archons are warping in. That's going to aid pushing these roaches back. A retreat forced. However, RenZan still in a good spot. His army supply, or his supply might be down, but that's just due to the drone count being very low for the moment. He is starting to drone again. His queen's injecting nicely for the time being. They've got a decent amount of energy banked up. The creep tumor is not going too far. And well, just more roaches on their way through. Tunnel now completed, so they can use that tunnel. There's the tooltip for it. 5 seconds of super speed. While burrowed, it regenerates 50. Oh, it receives 50% reduced damage. Now, Kierowca is reliant on this third. Unfortunately, a second entrance into it means that units can come up using tunnel effectively there to get on the high ground to be able to trade well with this cannon. Boom, down it goes, and this allows RenZan to continue the push forward. Zealots coming up the ramp though, they're going to be trying to stop this push. Will they be enough? Of course, roaches are armored. They still deal full damage up against Zealots, unlike the Hydralisks. But the Zealots able to push back. High ground advantage now into play. Hallucination is an ability of High Templar since sentries have been completely removed. And well, for the moment, RenZan forced to retreat. RenZan's work count up to 32 now, but compared to the 51, he is going for a bit more damage with a nice push up into the natural base. But is this push overconfident? Does he have enough to make this work? The Archons say no, destroying everything in their path. Quite a few hallucinated Archons thrown into the mix as well to deceive his opponent into thinking there's more there, but the Overseers do reveal that they obviously are just hallucinations. The roaches tunneling away, trying to get to safety, unable to do so though as the charge lots close down the distance. Storm finally getting researched by Kierowca, something that was really hindering any kind of big plays or risking any Hydralisk pushes coming through. So, for the moment, Kierowca really starting to bring back this game, leveling it out, but the Lurker Den is being morphed. It's morphed in from the Hydra Den. Lurkers we haven't yet seen in this tournament, so I'm excited to get to show you guys them. They deal cool damage and a spike line out. They have to be burrowed to work though, but you're going to see, hopefully, how that affects things. They deal tons of damage to light units, that's why they're so potent. Roach Worm doesn't really have much use once tunnels come out. Roaches are still very tanky in Starbow. We can see that they've got 150 health on them. Zealots though starting to move forward. More damage gonna get done here. This is actually a very substantial push coming in and could be difficult for RenZan to defend. The push still ongoing. Zealots make it up onto the high ground. Gotta get the Archons up there too though, just so the high ground advantage doesn't play a factor into this engagement. The Zealots wrapping around pretty much everything. They don't have an attack type, so they deal full damage to any unit. The Archons really aiding this push. It is a big push, definitely going full on aggressive. And as we can see, Storms also being incorporated into this. As a result, lots of drones go down, and once again, RenZan down to just 29 workers. He's going to lose this third hatch, and those ZTs, GG called. And Kierowca will advance forward in this tournament.